Hey guys, John Gums back here. We're going to talk some Class A wrestling now. We went through the Class B, so if you missed the Class B, you can go back to YouTube. Go to YouTube, search Dakota Grappler, or put YouTube / Dakota Grappler, all one word, and you should have no problem finding us. This is, I think, our 100th video or 101st video. So many more things coming on there. We've had a lot more people making comments. Feel free. It really helped us out in the last broadcast. Make some comments, people. Feel free, because we don't know everything. We do our best to get the wrestling out there, but there's always people that have been there to see the matches. If you see close matchups, we had some great coaches comments last time. Do the same on this one, and we will surely respond to your comments if they're all appropriate, of course. But let's have some fun. Hopefully we can get through this in the next 45 minutes. Try to get you to bed on a Sunday night for some of you. Some people don't work tomorrow, have Monday off, so we have a holiday. Basically, this next week's state wrestling tournament is pretty much a holiday for me, a week-long holiday. How about you, Bill? Looking forward to it?
I am. I'm looking forward to it. Yep. We got a little bit of college wrestling this week, and then the big weekend at the Fargo Dome. So, yeah, it'll be an exciting week.
Okay, well, I tell you what, I had fun today. I did get to broadcast with Beck, if you guys didn't get to see it. University of Mary kind of put a stomping onto Minot. The Beavers, I tell you what, are kind of putting their paddle between their legs and heading back up there. They definitely burnt the boats at the University of Mary today. Yeah, so I tell you what, Justin Dakota got to referee that thing, and there were some tough matches. I was impressed. Before I get to the Class A, those that were doing it, Bismarck High had some good representatives there. We had Beulah that had a guy there wrestling. We had guys from other parts of North Dakota and the Midwest, some good talent. And guess what? We're going to have some of these people at the state wrestling tournament, Class A and Class B, get that opportunity to wrestle in college in the very near future. I definitely would say so.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
what I have to do now is I'm going to share my screen so we can go over and look at the Class A brackets. We'll break down a couple of them, and hopefully, if you guys have some comments, whatever, feel free to make those comments. So I'm going to share my screen. Go over to Class A individual tournament. There we go. Right away, we got up to 106-pound weight class. Now, right away here, I'm going to go big screen. You don't have to look at our faces as we talk, I don't think, unless you want your face seen, Bill.
No, you don't have to. I can.
Just joking with you. Okay, let's look at the Class A. Right away, coming out of the Class A, we have a young class here of really talented wrestlers. LJ Aragio of Bismarck, he's been almost unstoppable 8th grader. In fact, his losses were only in the Rumble. He's got 2 losses. He came after the junior high season. He's got to wrestle, and he has looked really good. In fact, walked through the West region, and right now I don't see anybody that should touch him, but you never know. It is a state wrestling tournament. Over down on the 2, we do have Valley City Griebel, he is a force also to be reckoned with. He's a machine, but I tell you what, it's going to be Aragio's basically bracket to lose out of that match mix there, definitely. Some of the matchups that I see that makes it very tough. This is, like I said, you look up and down here, people worry. You have 8th grader, 9th grader, 8th grader, 7th grader, freshman, 7th grader, 7th grader, 9th grader, 9th grader, 8th grader. Here's a sophomore, freshman, sophomore, freshman. We're going to have talent galore over the next few years. Definitely. So you got to see a little bit of these guys wrestle, but what is your first impressions here at 106?
Well, I think obviously LJ is the cream of the crop, and I think if anybody could push him, it would be Coy Griebel. Coy's going to bring a lot of energy and push the pace. I don't know, how the Griebel Mortensen match will go. I'm sure you've seen that one before. I think Griebel probably is the best wrestler coming out of the bottom, but no guarantees. One thing I guess I noticed, it just kind of popped out. It was looks like Pete Rasmussen from Jamestown was the kid that made it out of Jamestown, out of the West, and Grady Anderson, who had been their starter, didn't qualify. But So that still shows how tough that West region is.
I tell you what, you have an unseeded wrestler make it, and your seeded wrestler didn't. Grady Anderson was in a tough spot. He was the 6th seed in the West region, and it's crazy how your backup ends up being 7th at state, because that's pretty much where Grady would have ended up.
Sure.
But he got caught opening round in a headlock.
Oh.
Got pinned by a Williston wrestler, and then coming back to the other side, he had to beat. Let me think. Another Savageau.
Savageau from Bismarck, yeah.
Savageau from Bismarck, who's really come on. He's an extra guy, and Savageau, who had the varsity spot before Christmas, and was ranked before LJ came onto the scene after the junior high season.
Sure.
So basically, he lost to a backup who was really a ranked kid in North Dakota.
Right. Yep. That's the kind of stuff that can happen this time of year, unfortunately.
So Savageau, think of that as being a backup. He is ranked 6th for Bismarck High.
Sure.
We got 2 guys in the top 6 from Bismarck.
Yep.
And Savageau's tough. I tell you what, he's going to be a tough out for a lot of people, and he's going to give this Mortensen a run. Right away in this match here, he'll be ready to go. Mortensen's very aggressive, very strong, but Jesse Thompson beat him, but had lost to him early in the season. So this right here being the 3-4 might have been a little bit of a battle, and I'd have to look at their exact matchups. But Jesse Thompson looked really good in the region, and I think this is a tough break for him to be on the same side as LJ. He's lost to him every time.
Right. Yeah. Interesting.
So that's one where I'd have to look back at the duels and have to be a little bit more common with this. So if anybody has a comment, somebody might know out there exactly how this went earlier in the season between Mortensen and Thompson, how close his matches were. But Jesse Thompson looked really good, and so we'll have to see. It's going to be a tough battle. Blake Ursland from Century wrestled really well. It's coming on here in the season. He just made the rankings this last time. He's been in the mix. He lost to Savageau earlier in the season, but had a tough match with him to basically guarantee a chance to place, at the region to qualify for state. So that Ursland here and Savageau later on, it's about the 5-6 is, this spot in the 6 is probably a little bit better than being in this top half. It's kind of funny how that works.
Yeah.
Going to have a big battle here to place in this bracket. Lots of talented wrestlers. And if you start noticing some of the trends, West region is, man, it's classic that it's tough, but it is really tough this year.
Yeah.
The whole West region, there's several ranked wrestlers, even in the brackets. Like Grady Anderson is a great example here, that didn't even qualify because the West region has, 16 guys in a bracket or 15, and the East region has 10. Yeah. So there's those chances of one of those seeded wrestlers losing, and then losing a tough match on the backside too. And it's no slouch. This bringing extra wrestlers, your extra guy's going to take points from people. And Savageau, this is a great opportunity there where Bismarck High, all the points that Savageau scores is taking away points from everybody else trying to catch.
Absolutely, yep.
Okay, let's look at the next weight class. Let's move up to 113. Oh. And of course, when we start looking at cream of the crop, then you look at the Bismarck High team. Now, they are being celebrated as one of the Hall of Fame teams, the 1991 team, and there are some great wrestlers on there. We went through that before, Renner and so forth, in one of our last ones. But I tell you what, this team might be, top 3, maybe even the best team since 91 coming off this year, just top to bottom. Some of these wrestlers, that 91 team produced 3-4 Division I wrestlers off it. This same team could do the same. That Aragio, he has enough talent over it. It's going to be several years away, but he is a complete stud. You look at the Tanafus, you look at Renner, who's really coming on. He's just a sophomore also. Then you look at some other guys that could wrestle at the next level. Rolton, you look at, it just keeps going and going. They're very talented. Bismarck High is definitely the team that is on top of everybody in Class A. But let's look again now at 113. Okay, 113. Again, this one ranked wrestlers. As we look at this, you have Christian Tanafu the number one, and then on the bottom, Aiden Braun. Now, Aiden Braun, he's a very good freshman. Has given Tanafu some fits, but Tanafu's just so strong. Tanafu, well, they were in a scrambling spot where Aiden Braun had shot in, and Tanafu just basically used all his strength and stepped over and actually got Braun in a little bit of trouble. But
Oh,
other than
really?
that, it was a really good match. It was just one of those scramble situations where you just noticed how much stronger Tanafu was than Braun. It's no junior to a freshman type strength. You could just tell the difference. Um, that three seed Neil Bohr, um, Braun has actually handled him pretty good throughout the year, but that Bohr is a senior at a lightweight class. He's going to be going out and he's in great shape. He's going to have to push it to the limits and really catch Braun in something to get a chance to make the finals there. Places I'd like to, kind of put asterisks by. This Tyler Nelson wrestled really well for Minot in the region, and he actually stepped it up and took out a ranked wrestler. Who the heck did he beat? I gotta think really tough here, but he'd beat it. Steidler out of St. Mary's.
Oh, really?
Colin Steidler and knocked him out. So Tyler Nelson was not seeded going into the West region. Think of that, not even seeded in the top 8, and he wrestled really well, and now is seeded 8th in state even. So you notice how quick that comes about. And Steidler, is one of those spots where you have to wrestle well, and Tyler Nelson put it to him and stuck Steidler at the region and made his way to state that way. So tough break for St. Mary's there on a pretty good kid, the younger freshman Steidler. We had mentioned Ethan Miller. I think he'd rather been on the bottom half of the bracket, but for Zabad, I think he is the top 4. Again, we've mentioned this before. The top 4 probably, or I would say a notch better than the bottom 4, and the top 4 should make all the semis. Then after that, it's going to be a battle on the backside to see where people place. That's my prediction at 13.
John, I think you got a comment here. You're getting kind of hard to hear. You might need to get closer to the mic.
Okay. Nope. Appreciate it. That's probably what I did. So I flip things over. I'm glad somebody said something there. I start looking at the bracket. Thank you so much. Very muffed, hard to hear. How about that? How does that sound? Give me a thumbs up, somebody.
Yeah, it's better for me, but I can turn it up a little bit on my sound. But
okay,
just make sure you're
very possible. Somebody said it was very hard to hear. That's fine. I just got to get closer to my mic. I put these headphones on, and then it's a little bit more difficult to see how loud I'm talking.
Right.
Might be part of it too, because I usually have one headphone in, but if I'm echoing, there's no use. Much better. Thank you very much. That does make a difference. Okay. So then, if I'm going to find, somebody going to pop out of this bracket before I go to the next one, man, I didn't understand one of them. There's one that's marked in there as 0-0 from Valley City.
Right.
Is that a replacement?
I don't think so. I think that he's wrestled earlier in the year. I don't know how. I was kind of curious about that myself. I saw that, and I'm pretty sure I saw. Well, obviously, had to wrestle at the region.
Right. So I wasn't. I'd have to look into that one. I did notice the 0-0. If that's just a mistake on the bracket, but somebody might be able to clear that up for us too. That's out in the east.
I can kind of look here too. I think 3-7.
Okay.
So
maybe they want to put the 0-0.
Yeah.
Okay. Not so bad. Okay, so let's go to the next bracket. I tell you what, 113 is another one, like I mentioned, top 4, maybe a little bit better than the bottom 4. We're going to see some brackets where it's going to be 9 deep or 8, 9 deep. I like 145 is tough as nails, 152 as we get farther along here. 145 is going to be one of the toughest ones in this Class A brackets. Okay, let's look here. There comes 120. Okay, 120, another Bismarck High wrestler, the number 1 of this weight class. It's Wilfred Tanafu. 42-1, only losses in the Rumble the Red Finals. Junior. On the bottom, Hayden Johnsrud, who is actually Century's backup wrestler. Caden Dakota, the number 3, is the starter. And so what's interesting is when it comes to state, I don't know if they changed the rule. I'm going to have to ask that, but I believe they have to declare who their point scorer is at the state. Not like one is going to score higher than the other one and they get to take their points. So the coach will have to decide. Now, Dakota's been ranked 2 most of the year, but then at regions in the semifinals, Johnsrud, who's been at 26th all year as a senior, decided to bump down and lost still to Dakota, but then beat him in the regions. They were 1-1 against one another in regular competition. And guess what? The one who won the region and the senior got it. So it could be 2 Century wrestlers fighting it off to see who makes the state finals. That's interesting.
Yeah.
I would tell you what, though, that number 6-3, that's almost the catch match. Hubner is wrestling really well right now for Jamestown, and he gave some fits to people in the region. So that's, if somebody's got to be ready, Dakota's got to be ready to wrestle right away in that quarters.
I'm curious about that 8 seed spot, that Hunter Owens from Wahpeton and Steven Schultz from Minot. That should be a really good match.
Well, Schultz is a go-getter.
Yeah.
I tell you what, he moves, and that's an advantage for Minot. But you look at where people going down. If you win that, it's not going to be Tanafu. But you look at going down to the 9, lost down there, got a chance then to face probably, I'd say, Sprayer Meyer, and that's a great opportunity for a placement to end up on the stands. So that first match is kind of big compared to the other side where people are, you got to always face somebody that's won a match going on the backside.
Right.
And so you might face like a Victor Garcia who's already placed in the state. He placed last year, ranked 7th on that other side. Victor Garcia, I might have placed 5th last year. I'd have to double check it, but he placed. So that is going to be fun. But here's what's interesting with that too. Victor Garcia wrestled 126 the same time that Johnsrud wrestled 126.
Oh.
And in the duel, Victor Garcia beat him.
Okay.
So that's an advantage. Minot again. Minot, has got the opportunity. We dominated him the last time we wrestled him, but Victor Garcia is a tough out there. That's going to be a tough match for Hayden Johnsrud right away. And Garcia scored early on some stuff up in Minot, and he's going to have to do the same at state. Interesting matchup there. I put a little asterisk by that. One ready to watch. Match 15 in that bracket. Okay, let's go to 126. Okay. At 126, looking at this bracket. Now, again, pound for pound, toughest wrestlers in the state. Junior Reese Barnhart from Bismarck St. Mary's. Again, only loss for him is at the Rumble the Red in the finals. So got to see, these guys do face good competition through the year. 45 wins. Nobody touched him in the West region. He's just so smooth. He's dominant. He's physical. He's got tools on all every position, and just seems always, how could you say, ready to wrestle. Aggressive. And so I would say, guess what? If somebody's going to really be a Mr. Wrestler next year, he's right now at the top of the next class for class.
Sure.
As a junior. Tough draw for Joel Bowman, who's really starting to wrestle really well, getting the 4 seed on the opposite, being on the same side. I was impressed on how well he's looking. I mean, I watched him wrestle last year as a freshman, and I saw lots of improvement. But this year, it is night and day. He looks smooth. His feet look good. He's fast. He's strong. He is probably, I don't know, if Jamestown has the most improved wrestler, he is one of them for sure. I'm impressed at what he looks like and what he's done this year. And I think it's the coaching, it's everything else. The people around him, he's looking really good. On the other side, do you remember how to pronounce it? Danny Monatakwa.
Yeah.
And his dad's Craig, because if he's on tonight, there we go. He is the 3. He's got Fisk on the other side. Now, he had lost in the East region in the semis. I think he was in the third and fourth place match. And he must have lost. Did he lose to Fisk? I didn't look close enough.
Yeah, I did look at it. Hey, I just wanted to mention something real quick so
Sure.
we don't go past it. Back at 113, we mentioned that Alex Rogstad was in there with the 0-0 record.
Yep.
Basically, he didn't place. So the finalist, Ethan Miller, won the championship by injury default over Mansky from Cheyenne. And Mansky from Cheyenne is not in the bracket.
That's what it is, Connor Mansky.
Yep.
Okay.
So I just was doing a little looking their way. So
okay, maybe we get somebody out there to clear that up for us a little bit.
Yeah, so that injury must have been pretty serious. I just saw there's an injury default in the finals, and Mansky's not there. So that's a bummer. You hate to see that happen.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, that's good to hear that. Hopefully everything's okay there. It's kind of like Jordan Will today in the duel. I'm hoping his knee's okay.
Yeah, I hope so too.
Because he buckled. I don't know if you got to see it or not, but in the duel he got hurt in that match, and
I did see it. Yep,
I
did see
he
it.
buckled right at the end of it. I don't know if they got to see the camera on that, but as he's walking back to his team, he buckled and fell to the mat.
Oh, really? No, I didn't know. I didn't catch that. So going back to 126, not to short change these guys. Actually, Danny Monotaqua lost to Tyler Porter from West Fargo in the semis.
Okay.
10-7. So and then he did come back.
And took third.
And took third. Yep.
But Tyler used to beat Tyler Porter earlier in the year because Porter got the 5 seed.
So, right. Yeah, I'm guessing. Yeah, because they were they were the 2 and 3 seed going in, so there must have been a separation there, and that separation must have carried on through.
Mm-hmm. And then Fisk. If you looked at the Fisk stuff, I was going to do that too, but we get so tied up with all we do. Let's look up Fisk and see who his losses are too.
He pinned Porter in the finals. He is. Let's look here. So
it's a good idea as you're looking things up. That's a great idea.
Yeah, I can. Oops, I kind of made a mistake here. Let's see here. Let's see results. I can get all of them here. Fisk. Let me look here. Not many losses, so I should be able to find them pretty easy. He lost to a kid from Sydney. Let's see. Where's the other loss?
Definitely a tough weight class.
Yeah. And Darian Malone from Rapid City Stevens, another really good wrestler. So those are his 2 losses. Obviously, both came at the Rotary. So
okay. So you're gonna have to see, because I tell you what, Devil's Lake has stepped it up, and he's one of their team leaders. So,
yep.
I tell you what, maybe that's Devil's Lake's best shot to make the finals right there at 26. But I'm not gonna put it past Monotaqua, because I tell you what, when he comes to state, he's ready to wrestle, and it's going to be interesting. That is one I'm going to star, and I'm going to put on my back burner. I got to see right there. But I'll be trying to watch lots of matches.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
I just have to make sure I force myself to get to that one. But I tell you what, no slouch. Henry Nelson on that 6. He's a strong kid and is dangerous. He's got 14 losses. He gets caught up every once in a while. He's long-legged, but he actually at the region was the backup.
Oh, really?
So they actually wrestled him in the JV tournament, the JV West region the week before. Kind of surprised us because he's beat a lot of good wrestlers. He beats a lot of good ones, but he lost in his own room that Colin Murphy was their starter on the top. So you got to see who they get as their as their point getter.
As their point scorer, yeah.
Yeah, so that Colin Murphy, that could be a start match. That eighth match is not so bad because he's had a lot of losses, but he comes on and wins big ones also.
Interesting.
Yeah. And another one, a little smaller wrestler sitting in the 7th seed. Jacob Ursland, he's a tough wrestler.
Yes, he is. Yeah.
I wouldn't put it past past him to give Fisk a good match. They're also from Devil's Lake.
Right.
Very, very interesting bracket, 126. It should be fun there. Anything else this bracket you see, or should we move on?
Nope. I think we got Reese is the top dog there. Everybody else is battling there.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, battling for the stand. Okay, 132. Now, it's going to be some interesting stuff. We did have a few things move in class. When you get a couple of heavyweight classes, we had some people move and just at regions. And, I'm not a big fan of that. We've had, you wrestle all season at a weight, and then just at regions you go down.
Yeah.
Makes it really tough. But I guess until they set rules on something like that, South Dakota made it so you had to make half your weight classes at the smallest weight. So you didn't have the big jumps at the end for people. But, okay, let's see here. 132. You've got your Fargo South. Jacob Thomas got the 1 seed. And
see that?
Yes. And then on the other side, a battler who's really came on, Caden Renner. Looked really good in the West region. His semifinal match against Devin Schultz was a tough match, but he seemed to find a way to tie Devin Schultz up early, and Schultz couldn't score. And that did make a difference in that match. Devin Schultz is one of these kids that if you get him on a roll early in the match where he's scoring points, he's hard to beat. But if you can slow him down, and that's what Renner did, it does make a difference. Definitely there. This is another one of those classes where the top 4, I think, in this bracket are, again, a notch above the bottom 4.
I was just looking here. Jacob Thomas has 2 losses. One of them is to Danny Monotaqua.
Mm-hmm.
And the other one is to the Althoff kid from Watertown. So.
Yep. No, so I guess there we go. Monotaqua beat Thomas. That's a big win. Definitely there. Okay, so Renner. Now Renner's a great rider. This Kelby Armstrong and him, for some reason, Kelby struggles with Renner's style. Armstrong, very tough wrestler, but 2 of his 4 losses come to Renner, and that's the last 2 times they wrestled.
Okay.
Beat him handily in both matches. And, if Kelby wants to make the finals again, like he has, I think, 3 times, he's going to have to go through Renner to do it. And he's going to have to step it up a notch. Now, I don't know if he just can't get in. Renner's long and blocks well. Kelby's going to have to change some angles and get in on some of his shots. He was kind of relying too much on passing, like the college stuff. And Renner's so long, it's like he tried to pass some legs, and Renner he just couldn't do it because he'd throw a leg in or he'd do something and tie him up, hook a leg, and it really caused some problems. So we'll see what kind of strategy comes into that match later on.
What's the Devin and the St. Mary's kid, the Langenfelder match? What's that look like?
We dominated that match.
Okay.
And so Langenfelder had a good region, but we've wrestled him a couple times. And Schultz just, when he gets going full bore.
Absolutely.
And both times he wrestled Langenfelder. Now, Langenfelder's strong, but Schultz just finds a way to use his speed and get ahead quick on him, and then he gets Langenfelder in trouble. I don't know. Langenfelder hurt his knee just a little bit, I think, in that match, but he was kind of limping. I don't know. I think he'll be fine, though, if I remember right, with that match at 32. Okay, let's go to 38, where I see a big surprise actually happen at the regions on our side in the West region. And that is a 45-pounder coming down to 38 just this last week. And that's McClanahan.
Oh, gosh, I did not catch that.
Yes. Trevor McClanahan, tough as nails, and it looked huge.
He looked huge at 45.
And I don't know how he made 38. He had to cut something off, I thought. But he looked, this first match of the tournament, I got to remember who he faced, but he actually had a tough match opening up, and I thought it was just weight cutting or whatever it was that made a difference, where maybe it was against Colton Muse or it was against somebody, but it was such a tough match. I'm saying he's going to have to adjust as the day goes to the weight cutting, because you could see it was the first time for him to come down.
Sure.
And then in the finals, Clay Redenz and him had a battle. Once it started to go, Redenz was just faster than him early on, but as soon as he started to do muscle with McClanahan, not good. The end of the match, McClanahan was coming on and had Reden's wore out and was on top of him, but couldn't find a way to turn him. In fact, Reden's basically stalled out the last 35, 45 seconds with McClanahan coming back and ended up winning by 4 or 5 points. But that's because Reden's really took it to him early with his speed. But you could see he's starting to adjust to the weight class. That's going to be interesting. Caleb Porter on the bottom side, I don't know how he got the 2 over McClanahan. I really don't know. And so, because they don't have, maybe a common matchup somewhere. But the 2 and 3 probably was a battle here. Cattermas will give Porter a tough match. Cattermas, he's my little star there in the thing. He's a kid that is always battling. He's in every match. He doesn't get beat bad. So Caleb Porter will have a tough match there in the quarters. Felkley is also tough, but man, he couldn't handle the size of McClanahan.
Right.
On the top side, I tell you what, Preston Fedek, he's as good. He's good enough to be the number 1. This weight class is loaded there, where Preston Fedek and Clay Reden's in the semis, but it might not even make that. Colton Muse.
Yeah, get Muse there too. Yeah,
he's got Muse to go through first before he gets there. I'm sorry, but this weight class, the top 5, 6, 7, 8, this is a good weight class.
Yeah, those 2 semifinal matches, actually the 4 quarterfinals there are going to be really, really good.
Well, I tell you what, Clay Reden's got up on Colton Muse, but that was a tough match. And you could see that Reden's was struggling with Colton Muse's strength. Colton Muse is a strong freshman.
Yeah.
And so this Preston Fedek Colton Muse match, that's going to be tough. And I tell you what, Colton Muse beat him. Colton Muse beat Fedek for the 3rd place match in regions.
Oh, yeah, 2-1.
Think of this. Reden's, McClanahan, Fedek and Muse and Felkley. Felkley placed last year in Class B. I mean, that West region was a barn burner at 38. Yeah. And so, surprising enough, I tell you what, this Cole Reden's down the bottom here, he's 16 and 28, but he's a strong kid, and that's a brother. This is the first time from the same team, I think, a brother is qualified for state. So you have both Clay and Cole Reden's in the same bracket here. They're brothers.
Yeah.
Right? The freshman and now, if they both end up at the stand from the same team, that would be probably new. I could go back. I did know one other time in wrestling history where 2 brothers actually met in the finals. They just were for different teams. Goes back to some old school stuff. I'd have to ask my dad the name of them because he's mentioned the story before where 2 brothers met in the finals, but they're from different teams. I'll find that out for us in the near future.
Yeah, that'd be good to know.
So this bracket is tough. And again, West region dominate. You do have Tanner 9 in there, and you have Caleb Porter. Both of these guys are tech team kids, and you can see them still finding, some talent coming out of the tech team and some of that wrestling club stuff. Definitely.
Yep.
Okay. Now
some good comments coming in.
Yes, got another one. Let's look at what Chris Hermes says. 15 wrestlers Sydney placed in the top 4 at state, 8 in the final, 7-1. Scored an all-time high of 340 points in Montana. I tell you what, like we had mentioned, Sydney should be placed in the top 50 teams. They won the Rotary. Sydney was a very tough team and has most of their guys coming back. Look at that. 15 wrestlers placed in the top 4. How tough is that?
That is pretty tough.
8 in the finals. Congratulations out there to Sydney. Some guys watch this stuff. That is pretty awesome. Chris Hermes, his dad and him, both father-son state champions. A Williston wrestler. Year older than me. Know Chris pretty well. His dad's in the Hall of Fame too. Okay, so let's go to the next weight class. 145, which I think top to bottom could be one of the toughest weight classes in the state. It is tough as nails. That 145. Okay, here's 145. Now looking at 145, you got Drew Steidler. Now Drew Steidler, man, I don't know a good way to say this, but I don't think that he is in good enough shape right now. And if somebody has an opportunity, it's now or never. I know he's a senior, but there were times where Troy Berg, if he could have pushed it just a little bit harder, I think he had Drew Steidler on the ropes in that match, but I think gave him a little bit too much respect early on. And so Troy Berg has an opportunity here that he can't pass up as a sophomore here if he makes the finals. Now you look Maverick Martin, another kid who's really, you think he's got 51 matches, he's got 18 losses, but Maverick Martin has really came on as of late and pins a lot of kids. If I think of Ben Wygum, who's a century wrestler at the 7 here, he's a very good wrestler. No doubt. You look at these other ones, Brandon Williams, Grand Forks Central. You look at 5, Cutter Jones. He's Williston, one of their toughest wrestlers, if not their toughest wrestler. This is a tough weight through top 6 for sure, 7, and it's going to be a battle to see what happens here. I don't know. There's a few that have.
How about that? How about that 6 seed match there? That looks like it could be a pretty good match too.
Well, Ben Nagel, Bismarck High. He's really kind of been the guy that's had to sacrifice, do whatever. He started off at 160, 152, 145, and he's worked his butt off to be there. He's definitely going to give a match to Maverick Martin. Definitely, that's going to be a great opportunity for Bismarck to score more points. But Maverick Martin handled him pretty good this last weekend, so we'll see what happens. Because Ben Wygum, they're close. No, maybe I said it wrong of being one of the toughest weight classes, but it's probably one of the most balanced weight classes. That might be the better thing. They're all really tough, but it's very balanced from all the way through. Berg has got an opportunity, though. I really think if he could push Steidler a little bit, Steidler's still getting in shape. He's not in the duels. Berg is not in the duels. I would say, guess what? You got 100%. If that ends up being the finals, I would say push the pace. That would be that'd be my idea. But 152. Now this is West dominated. 152, another really tough weight class. Okay, there it is. Now, when you start looking at 152, Bismarck High again. As you look through this, you got Brock Fedek sitting on top. Now Brock is wrestling really good right now. He's hard to score on. He's tall, strong, and he's young. He's still a sophomore. You got to think all these Bismarck kids and how many seniors. It just isn't there. They're still coming up. But Brock Fedek, this is one of those where the West region, it was tough. Will Kleinknecht, he was a state finalist last year and was just seconds from being a state champion. He's going to have a tough match. Right away that Cody Booth is tough out of Dickinson. He's gotten better. The 7, but Noah Braun, he beat Kleinknecht in Fargo. I think that's where I watched the match. I'm trying to think where I saw that match. Or was that but Braun scored earlier and Kleinknecht couldn't get back in on him. That might have been even in the Rotary, but maybe not. Let me think what I can't remember what tournament it was now. I've been to so many, but I've seen those two wrestle, and that is going to be a tough match. Stugelmeyer. Now I tell you what, talk about a young kid who looks the position. He is big and strong, just another sophomore. He's really come on as the year early. He wasn't a preseason ranked kid, and he gives everybody, a match. Top 5, he look at number 5 is another West region, Tate Ladoucer, or Ladoucer, some people say. That Stugelmeyer-Ladoucer match would be tough.
Oh, Braun beat Kleinknecht at the Lee Wolf.
That's what it was. Oh, yeah. Probably Kleinknecht's worst tournament of the year was down in Aberdeen. That's where I saw it.
7-3 in the quarterfinals. So.
Did not have a great Lee Wolf tournament, but he's kind of turned it around. He is back to the 2 seed. He'd love to find his way to get in the finals, because I think that Fedek is definitely favored over all of them, but you give any of these guys an opportunity, they're seniors, to give them a shot in the finals, it's going to be a match. I don't know. I definitely think Brock Fedek should make the finals in this match at 152, but you can never overlook anybody. Definitely. I watched Brock take my son and put him in a pretzel. I watched Kleinknecht put my boy in a pretzel. I saw Braun put my boy in a pretzel. I saw Stugelmeyer put my boy in a pretzel. So I basically they're all pretzel makers. No,
there you go.
52. No, they're a lot of good wrestling. I'll be watching this bracket close. Okay, 160. Boy, I tell you what, I might lose my voice yet tonight. In fact, I do have a water. Take a drink every once in a while.
160. I see Parker Larson got the 1 seed out of Valley City. Senior there, 39-3 record. That's a pretty good, solid season again.
Yep. No, he's come on, and he's definitely another person that's well improved. He's always been a very good wrestler, but this year for some reason, you think of the Larson boys, how strong they are. I know their dad works, or they work very hard. I don't know if it's what it does, but put some protein in their Wheaties. But they're some strong kids, and they'll be ready to wrestle come state. One of the toughest wrestlers, his older brother, was probably one of the strongest wrestlers I've seen wrestle.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, Chase Burke from Minot. I tell you what, he wrestled a Great West region. I didn't see him make any mistakes. He was very solid on his feet. On top, he rode well. On bottom, nobody could hold him down. So him beating Kringley. Now Kringley's still, I think, getting into a little bit of shape and finding his own, being injured and have his basically his elbow shattered last year in the freestyle. I don't know if it was freestyle or Greco. I don't remember Booker or not. There's a Fargo kid, and he's wrestling somewhere else. I got to remember where.
He's in Minnesota, but
Yep, but Booker, he in Jamestown got kind of thrown and slammed over his elbow a little bit, and it kind of shattered it. And he took him, 3/4 of the season to get back ready. So he's got 12 matches under his belt. And Burke just looked like he was bigger, stronger, and it's going to be tough. Kringley has a tough matchup to make it back into the finals and be a state champion. But if anybody can do it, I tell you what, Kringley, he usually doesn't make many mistakes. He is very tough on top. He'll be ready to wrestle throughout this whole thing. But I don't know. I was very impressed at how Chase Burke looked this last weekend. On the other side, that Ty Weber, he's come on of late. He's got the 5 and 4. I tell you what, there's an opportunity for another 5-4 matchup that could be really tough. Seth Berg from Mandan. I tell you what, he's got the ability to make the semis against Parker, but he's going to have to get past Weber first, and that's probably out of this bracket. I would say the matchup that we'd watch to see who's going to face Parker Larson. If I had to basically of any of the other matches straight up.
Sure.
I don't know the rest. I just see this bracket to pan out, to Parker Larson on one side, and then it's going to be a battle between Kringley and Burke on the other. Definitely. I would, Seth is a student of mine. Seth Berg, he's really come a long way. He has an opportunity too, being another senior, but he's going to have to be ready to wrestle right away. Tanafu could give him a decent match. Now, Danny Tanafu is a cousin of the other two Tanafus.
Oh, he is.
Yep, they're cousins, and basically live when they moved to Bismarck, 2 different sides of the city. And Danny has been working really hard. He still is bigger though, and he's still catching on to the sport and everything else. He's actually at times looks phenomenal, but you can see that greenness that he has not quite picked up every talent, especially what the other two Tanafus have. They're just
right.
They definitely, notch above when it comes just pure athleticness, definitely. Okay, let's go to 170. Okay, so it's popping up here. No, awesome guys. I see a lot of people watching. Awesome again, you guys. I'm gonna have to, again, sometimes I gotta blank out a couple of these brackets so that I can get 170 to pop up. But we got a lot of big wrestling fans out there looking forward to this weekend. If you have an opportunity, catch me. Love to visit wrestling with anybody out there. If any of the Hall of Fame people, you see them coming in, make sure they try to catch me. I'm going to have a little place up to where they meet in the corner, and I want to interview every one of them. So if, do a quick, 5-minute quick interview of the Hall of Fame people, I love to put some more stuff on, how can you say, into the record books so that,
right, absolutely.
Archive, talk about some stuff. But definitely, guys, if you
I see Gage Roldson got the number 1 seed, no shock. That's one of the most exciting wrestlers I think in the tougher, in the Class A.
Yep.
Fun to watch. I think he's a kid that definitely has the skills that can, transfer on to the next level. He's fun to watch him develop.
He's big and strong. He likes to throw the legs in too some. Kind of one of those Bismarck High things every once in a while. And he's got a devastating power half. If he can flip somebody's hips, he's tough, very tough on top. On his feet, very solid. I don't know anybody the talent with him really in this bracket. He should do well, all the way through here. He'll be challenged some as Bismarck High will be both in the dual and the individual. But he's just been on a mission all year. Fun kid to watch. Good kid. Works hard. Yep. And on the other side, you got a Fargo Davies. And I've always, if somebody's out there, teach me how to pronounce this guy's last name for sure. If it's Chupik, Chalopik.
I can come up with all kinds of different ways to butcher it, I'm sure.
Yep. Lopik, Chalopik. I've been trying to figure it out for months, so we'll just call him Connor.
There you go.
Connor. And Jacob Bain, I tell you what, Jacob Bain from Century, he's a very strong kid, but had a great West region, WDA West region, and him getting a 3 seed, I tell you what, that's big, but this Johnny Browning from Jamestown, that is going to be one heck of a matchup. This Browning, he's another kid that's come on, he's a senior, so this 3-6, you could find that this could be one heck of a matchup here to see who makes it into the semis here. Because this side of the bracket, I still think is wide open. I think this side's pretty well settled, but it's, look at the 5, you look at the 4, that's going to be a tough matchup. McIntosh and Valendre. But other than that, Comstock Renz, he's the 8 seed at 3 and 6, but he is a tough wrestler. He placed last year at state. In fact, it went to, trying to think, it was his semifinals match between, maybe it was, I'm trying to think if it was Bame and him. It went to the last second, so I'm trying to think because I've got matches, but Bame took out him. Basically, these two could switch spots and seed-wise if it would have changed, even though he's got a lot of losses.
Oh, really?
He's going to be a tough match. Probably not here, but on the way back, anybody on this half of the bracket, he's a very tough wrestler who's coming back from an injury. And so we're going to see what happens. I tell you what, I know his dad. His dad wrestled at NDSU. He's one of the assistant coaches. Really has helped out a ton.
Okay.
And you're going to see.
Yeah, I see. He took 4th last year.
Yep.
Okay.
So he's at this 8 seed. That's better watch out. If Gage is going to have a match, you better just be ready for this one too. You just never know what happens. You can't overlook Comstock Krenz by any means.
Oh yeah, I'm just looking at his bracket from last year. Yeah, he lost to Kobe Booker that we were just talking about in the semis, and then he lost to Tate Nordby from Dickinson for the 3rd place match. And Tate Nordby's wrestling for Dickinson State this year. Billy just wrestled him a couple weeks ago in the duel.
Mm-hmm.
So, interesting.
Yeah. So, but again, it comes down to that. I watched the conditioning, and that was the reason why he lost his match in the region. It's
okay.
another one of those that you got to push him the whole match.
Yeah.
And then you have an opportunity to win that match if you keep pushing it. That's the tough thing of being injured, trying to come back.
Right.
Being in wrestling shape, it's different than being in running shape or in any other type of shape. It's just tough, to be able to.
For sure.
Oh, and that's why when you said with the Carrington kid earlier, you're starting to get his feet under him.
Yeah.
And he's kind of wild cards. He's just starting to get in a wrestling shape. You take losses early on because some kids are in shape and you're not, and then all of a sudden you're there. You start seeing the corner being turned. Okay. Next bracket popping up here. 182. Fun. Okay, now we have sophomore. Again, you look at Bismarck High, they just don't seem to run out of them. And they're young. You don't see a lot of seniors up there. There's a sophomore, Isaiah Hughes.
Yeah.
And man, I even listened to people in the crowd, and he's a man amongst boys. And they said, did he start lifting in 3rd grade or?
Yeah.
I did hear that in the crowd, but he's strong, he's physical, he's hard to score on, and I think he's mature enough now. I think last year he was still big and strong, but as you start getting the right tutelage and you start getting a little smarter in your body control and all the other stuff, you just start, making headway against other good competition. And so, the move from
Yeah,
New
I'm fun.
Salem to
I haven't got
Bismarck
to
didn't
see
hurt.
him wrestle out at all this year. I didn't see him at the Rumble or anything. I
Mm-hmm.
just didn't get to see him. So I'm hoping to see him wrestle at the state tournament.
Oh yeah, definitely. But he is, it's Hughes against Hust or Hust, the first round.
Right.
So we got to put a T at the end. But definitely, he's by far, the best wrestler at 182. If I'm looking at somebody on the other side of the bracket, it could be interesting. Micah Peterson and Rance have wrestled already, so it kind of gives the East region. When you get to the bigger weights, you start seeing East region start to dominate a little bit more, and you see a lot more guys placing in there. Isaiah Fernandez from Minot. I'm not sure if he can. He could probably give that 3-6 matchup being pretty tight. Um, Hubner from Jamestown in the 7 spot. He's really come on, but Colby Rance is just a machine. I watched him a couple times this year, and I've always thought that he looked a little small. I mentioned this before, probably for 182, but as I start watching him against other wrestlers from North Dakota, then it's guess what? It matches up okay.
Yeah.
and he's got a good high crotch, good single. He's fast. Another chance for Devil's Lake to get somebody in the finals right there.
That would be awesome.
Yep. Surprise from Fargo North. Man.
Oh, so, yeah. Junior surprise. Yeah.
That Carenza and that matchup is going to be really good at 182. Carenza, that 4-5 should be a fun matchup to try to get into the semis at least. Get to wrestle, in the spotlight against Hughes and see what you can do, and try to catch them in something. Your best moves. Something about getting under the lights in that semifinals is pretty big too for a lot of kids.
Absolutely. Yep.
Okay, let's move on. 195. Okay. 195. Now Tanner Jarrett from Dickinson. Solid. Wrestled really solid this last weekend in the West region. Big, strong. Him and Carmichael had battles, but they were both getting inside position and fighting and who would come up on top. And Jarrett had a big throw at the end of the match and just launched him. It was overtime. Probably one of the best throws I've ever seen in overtime. I mean, it wasn't just a lateral where someone falls on their back. This is one of those throws where, somebody pushes a little bit, somebody pushes, but launched.
Oh, yeah.
And it made the whole crowd. And Dickinson, they kind of had a tough weekend. That was one that their crowd cheered for. They lost a couple of guys from eligibility, and I won't really get into that. But, when that stuff happens, you got to find some way to still build your team and keep them going. And I guarantee that there were some people that needed that uplifting, that little throw from Jarrett to keep the season going for them, because it was kind of a downer weekend a little bit. After being state champs, you got to think of that too. So it's coming off a state championship, and I'm proud of the coaches. They did a very good job keeping their kids under control for the weekend there on that part, because it's not easy. Carmichael, he's got the talent on that side, but I think there's an opportunity for Valley City there in the semis if he can really bring a good match. Matson from Watford City kind of surprised me this last weekend. He's one of those wrestlers that always seemed to find himself in position. I think he's just starting to get into shape too. And a little side roll here. He's got a good little feel and puts people in danger positions. So he's kind of a little wild card for Watford City. We haven't got to talk about them much at all. They're really down overall, I think, as a team, and it's going to take a lot of effort to get them back in the mix, especially at the Class A level. But if anybody can do it, they can do it. They still got some movement of kids out of the, oil region, everything.
Sure, yeah.
But I was impressed with how he seemed to find good position to be in. He made it dangerous for, I know, the Mandan, or the Mandan wrestler and the Century wrestler, and just always seemed to find the right spot. So we'll see what he does there. kind of surprised me that he got the 6th seed. Then I look across this weight. It's got a lot of kids that have an opportunity here. 195, I would not say is one of the strongest weight classes in the state, but it gives other wrestlers an opportunity. So I definitely think that there's going to be probably 2 wrestlers that aren't seated here that have an opportunity to place pretty high. Colin Glott's been ranked as high as 3 or 4, but all the way has the 7th seed. So it's interesting here for Bismarck High. He could place as high as getting into that 3rd and 4th place match if he has a good day, or he could place or not place. It's interesting because there's a lot of even wrestling in here, and some, how can you say, points to be made by some teams there. Let's go to 220. Now 220, we didn't mention this in Class B. We were going to mention it earlier, but in Class B, just going to make a little comment because we forgot to tell you about that, but the Region 4 only had 2 wrestlers in there, and Region 1 and Region 3 picked those 2 spots up. Got a number 5 guy come out of those 2 regions. So those that were paying attention to the last time we were on.
Yeah.
We could bring that up into there. Okay, let's look at 220. At 220, Fargo Davies, okay, has a wrestler ranked number 1. Truman Weirmeyer is number 1 at 32-5. And then on the bottom, Preston Jones of Minot. Now, I tell you what, this is one of those weights that also it just has wide opportunity for a lot of wrestlers. Malachi Rivera from Dickinson has had some great opportunities. But I tell you what, Preston Jones, you won't forget him when you get to see him. He doesn't look like he's the typical wrestler. He looks like he's about 35 and he has a mustache. but he can throw. The kid, when the guy's pushing the wrong direction, he threw Malachi. He threw a couple wrestlers this weekend. He's got a good left-handed headlock, right-handed headlock. He's got a couple. He's a thrower, and people didn't know that, and he's come on pretty well. So it's kind of a surprise a little bit, I think, for a lot of wrestlers. But 220 is one of those where you can, again, make up some points at the state wrestling tournament and get guys on the stand. Bismarck Century, Hunter Harvey had a great weekend. Ended up taking like 5th for Century and got like 3 or 4 wins this weekend. He only had 4 coming in. And so I tell you what, he was swimming a couple years ago. He was basically doing club swimming. Big kid. So you think of swimmers sometimes being smaller. He's long, and he wrestled, I think, in elementary school. He's just starting to come on. He's kind of my wild card to get on the stand. He has an opportunity maybe to place as a junior here who actually is starting to get the feel back for wrestling. And so I was really happy on how this Hunter Harvey wrestled for Century. He's kind of my wild card to get on the stand.
Good to hear.
Yep. And then I know Ben Anderson, 3. He has an opportunity as long as he doesn't get thrown. He could find West Fargo. We haven't talked about many West Fargo guys making the finals, and that's a couple of years ago. You'd have been pushing, 6 of them to get in.
Right. Yep.
And on this other side, Malachi Rivera has the talent. This should be a good match here. The 5'6", the 5'4". See who makes the semis here. I think this weight class is still possibly wide open for.
Yeah, it looks to me like it would be. And it could be a lot of excitement at 220.
And what's interesting here, if the Class B guys might get a little jealous, but you see some of these 19 and 18 and 8 and 20, 10 and 19. You see a lot of this, but I guess what? These guys are meeting tough competition all the time. They travel, they get into other places, and it's a battle. It's a battle, and where sometimes if you look in, and I don't want to say this the wrong way either, but Class B sometimes is in that same region, and you find the guy wrestle him 5-6 times and go 5-0 against him.
Yep.
And it's not quite the same for some of these Class A guys. It doesn't quite end up that same way. So I don't mean that the wrong way, because I'm a Class A and Class B guy. If anybody's out there, don't take that the wrong way, please. Okay, so then we got heavyweights. Let's take a quick look at the heavyweights, and then we spent an hour doing this. And then we'll make a quick we'll talk a little bit at the end of this about a little bit of college if you want, but 5-10 minutes if you don't mind, if you want. I know you love the college.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see if I can just get rid of a couple brackets again. Nope, there comes heavyweight up. Okay.
At heavyweight, we had a little shakeup. I see, Brady Defoe took a loss in the semifinals of the regional tournament.
he
got,
lost. He lost to Gates, right?
no, he lost to Ortiz.
Oh, lost to Ortiz. Okay.
Yep, from
Okay.
West Fargo.
Ah,
And let's see here. He ended up beating Gates for third.
okay.
So Gates lost to Kuntz from Devil's Lake.
Wow. See, it comes kind of interesting because then out of this bracket, I cannot figure how Stordalen got the 4 then. If those guys are rotating between the 3 of them, I didn't remember Stordalen losing to Kuntz. Because, I'm thinking of that's the one I should probably look up, even it's Bismarck Century Wrestler. Stordalen, lost to Defoe in the finals of the Rotary. Kuntz, I don't think, wrestled in the Rotary. Gates lost in the Rotary. Was below that. So, and this one kind of baffles me a little bit. I'm not sure. I'd have to look really close on how Stordalen got the 4, and I think you'd have rather been on the other side. Defoe's kind of had his number a little bit, but kind of got tripped and fell. Damian Krebs the 5, and Stordalen was a good match at Regions, and Stordalen ended up snapping him, getting him on top. But that's a tough quarterfinal match to meet Defoe, who actually thought that Stordalen and Defoe would be opposite sides of the bracket.
I was looking at the East Region heavyweight bracket. I think every single match was a pin.
Oh, okay.
It was every single match.
Wow.
Front side, back side, every round.
Every heavyweight match was a pin.
Yep.
Holy cow. Pinned.
Let's just look here. You got a pin in 8 seconds, a pin in 3:05, a pin in 23 seconds, a pin in 1:20, a pin in 3:21, a pin in 52, a pin in 22, a pin in 2:15 or 2:51, pin in 53. Every single match. I've never seen that in my life. Wow. The whole bracket took about 5 minutes to wrestle.
Connor, good question. It says, is there a way to rewind this video? If you're watching this on Facebook, it's not able to rewind until it's completely done. But you can go over to Dakota Grappler on YouTube. Just go youtube.com/Dakota Grappler, or just type in YouTube search and Dakota Grappler and go to my page, and all these videos will be on there. You can back up, you betcha. Anything you want, you can fast forward, back up, rewind, put us on 2 times speed, put us slow speed, make us sound funny. But you can do all of that good stuff. Definitely good question, Connor. Awesome, thank you. I'm gonna have to look close at this. This is one of those brackets where I gotta find out where Stordalen did not get on the bottom side, and it must be something to do with Kuntz or with Gates, and I don't know what it is.
I'm going to look here and see if I can see anything. I'm looking at his record, and I'll see if I see any weird losses. I don't yet. Stordalen.
Let's see if you can find.
He lost to Defoe in the Rotary.
Correct.
He lost two matches over in Wyoming, but those don't count. Lost to a kid from Perham.
Yep.
Lost to Ortiz from West Fargo.
Okay.
That might have been
Ortiz is the loss that cost this all.
Yep.
And Ortiz is lost to Kuntz, and Ortiz lost to Gates, and Ortiz, though, beat Defoe. That's probably what it is. But then if Ortiz is better than Stordalen, Ortiz should be the 4. And then Stordalen the 5 and Krebs the 6. But unless Ortiz lost to Krebs, who Stordalen, see.
Yeah, Ortiz lost to Kuntz. Ortiz has lost to Defoe in the past. And he has lost to Stordalen too, it looks like. Yeah. He lost. Krebs beat Ortiz once.
Okay.
Well, I don't know.
That's how Krebs got ahead of Ortiz.
Yeah.
And Stordalen has beat Krebs, but that doesn't put Stordalen behind Kuntz and Gates.
Yeah, I don't know. That's another one of those, probably like that weight in the other one where you had, 4 or 5 of them. They're all kind of in there.
Right. All fighting and just basically went head to head and pulled them out. But,
Yeah.
Defoe and Stordalen is basically the only thing besides Ortiz. And Ortiz, if he's lost to everybody else, Kuntz and Gates, there's no way that Gates should have been ahead of Stordalen because they've been in the same common tournament of common opponents.
Right.
They were both in the Rotary, and Stordalen placed ahead of them. And so that's interesting. But you got to battle it out anyway.
Yeah,
and
you got to beat them all now.
And we know that any way you look at it. But I guess sometimes you really think the 4 or 5 seed, that's one of the toughest matchups in the tournament always because they're so evenly matched. Right there where the 6 and 3, there's a little separation. And that's why they do it the 7-2, the 1-8. It's another one. You just got to chalk it up in the books and see what happens.
That's right.
Yep, definitely. Okay, well, we are done with that part. Let's just talk for about 5 minutes or so on some college stuff. I know that gotta love some of the college stuff going on. There we are. Trying to make it. Guys, thanks again for watching the Class A roundup on the breakdown of what's happening for the state wrestling tournament. There always is 1 or 2 changes at the state tournament. Somebody will basically not make weight or somebody get hurt this week. Always happens. But if it does happen, here's usually how it happens. If somebody's a ranked wrestler, so you know this, they will basically reseed the bracket if it's a ranked wrestler, and then they'll redraw everybody in. So the changes happen. If it's a non-ranked wrestler, they do not reseed it. They just draw in the spot of where this wrestler was gone. So let's say you have a number 9 wrestler out of the West region. He's possible that he could wrestle there into that spot. But they usually redraw all the wrestlers if it's a ranked wrestler, because then all the things would change. And that's happened. We've had skin infections in the past. We've had, somebody come down all of a sudden with some ringworm that cannot be cured, but or something, impetigo maybe, something worse. Because ringworm, you can actually still get, I think it's a 24 window for ringworm, where you can get the medicine and to get a doctor's note, because that is just a fungus. It's not, in fact, it's not going to kill somebody where, it's not highly contagious.
Right. Yeah.
So that's why it gets by. I know that we were putting on the skin shield stuff all weekend. The Century Wrestlers were, just to make sure. You'd hate to have something this last week. Other than that, what can you tell us about college that happened?
Hey, Alan Defoe says that Gates was 220, then bumped up. That might have come into play at our seating in 285. So thanks, Alan, for bringing that in.
Okay, that does make a difference. Yes. Okay. So common opponents somewhere else, somewhere along the way.
Yeah. Hey, there's a lot of big stuff that happened in the college scene this weekend. Division II. Obviously, you talked about the Mary Minot duel today. That was the big one. That will be Mary's second to last duel. They'll go to Aberdeen on Thursday and wrestle the Northern State Wolves on Thursday. So it looks like Adam Aho has the Marauders kind of bouncing on all cylinders. So we'll see the Wolves and the Marauders. I
remember the duel I watched Friday. No.
Yeah, Michigan.
Nebraska. Heavyweight. Oh boy, was I impressed with Michigan's heavyweight.
He's pretty good.
He took Jensen, and Jensen pinned him in the Big Ten last year.
Yep.
And he took Jensen and worked him over and pinned him like nothing, just like he did with Cassiope.
Yep.
Cassiope. I mean, how I pronounce it wrong. Yeah, I should know that. But he's really good. I think him and Gable Stevenson will be a good match. I think it's a tough matchup for him against Gable, because the guy that's going to come at Gable and take shots and actually wrestle him is the kind of guy that Gable will put a lot of points on the board with. Gable and Cassiope had a what seems like a close match on Saturday, but it really wasn't close. I mean, it never was in doubt of who was going to win the match.
It's just that, it's a 5-1, dominating decision. Cassiopeia never took a shot. Gable took 2 good shots, got 2 takedowns, and that was about all I needed, So, but yeah, so there were some other good matches there. There was another number of good matches in that one. Will Luan and Peyton Robb, that was a really good match. Luan, we kind of know here in North Dakota because he took out our one of our favorite sons in Jared Franick at Fargo a couple times, and he's really good. Good, former world team member, and I thought Peyton Robb was going to get that match, and ended up giving the takedown up right at the very end, the last 3-4 seconds. So,
right.
Yeah,
Gable Stevenson when he lifted Capiosi up and returned him to the mat, was pretty good.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
He's so strong. He doesn't look like he wants to be physical like that, but then when he does, I just, Iowa ended up winning that duel, 35-6 or whatever.
Yep.
And it was one of those where I was waiting for the Gable match.
Right.
The whole time.
Yeah, no, it was that was the Gophers fought. I mean, they're that's but they're outmanned right now. I mean, that's an awful good team down there and in Iowa, and they're rolling, and they'll roll into Big Tens, and we'll see how it goes there, and then they'll roll into the national. So
yep. Tell us some more stuff about Division II. I kind of stopped there going D1 already.
Yeah, well, Division II, Friday night, Augustana made the trip to Mankato, and they beat Mankato in a pretty good fashion. I don't remember the final score. It was probably 7-3 match-wise. And then Augustana looked pretty good. And then on Saturday, Northern State was in Mankato to wrestle against the Mavericks. I think Mankato's ranked 17th in the country or something, and Northern State is 23rd. They weren't. Mankato won 8 of 10 matches, so Northern State was able to win a match at 133. At Tech Fall at 133, Dane Morton looked really good. There was a real close match at 25. 141. They have a really good guy there, and Kenny Jones kind of got it put on him the first 2 periods, and then came back in the third, rode him real tough, but just couldn't make up the points, and couldn't get him turned. I mean, it was just the way it went. And 49, they're really good. That's a both teams have ranked guys there. Pretty good match, but they came out on top there. 157, Walker Carr came out, got an opening takedown, and then fell behind and could not come back. Billy at 165 had a match with Logan Salto. Salto is a returning national qualifier out of Region 5. Came in at the beginning of the year ranked somewhere in the top 5, and Billy won that match. Looked pretty good. Wrestled him last year, and we wrestled him twice. We're 2-0 against him, and Billy he kind of seems like maybe he's coming along. I hopefully, I think he'll be seeded somewhere 3rd or 4th in the region. So
okay.
He'll have an opportunity to get out of the region. He'll have to go to the regional tournament in Sioux Falls and do the darn thing. That's what it'll come down to. I thought he looked pretty good. So that was nice to see. And then after that, it was all Mankato. So the 184-pound match was crazy. There was a takedown with 4 near fall, and then a reversal with 4 near fall, and then another takedown with a couple near fall, and then a reversal with a couple near fall. It just went back and forth, and it was really wild. But Mankato came out on top of that one for sure. So
I've got a question for you on the college wrestling.
Yeah.
Because me still being, how could you say, college idiot here in a lot of ways, when it comes to some of the moves. Now, I know enough about wrestling, but now people are taking this and taking a back leg, almost like a bow and arrow.
Yeah.
Grabbing the back.
That bent leg Turk. Yep.
bent leg Turk, and still, Mary used it quite a bit today,
Yep.
and it looked like Minot wasn't prepared for anything about it because they got kind of, and I don't know at what level they call that, potentially dangerous. I see the knee getting twisted, and I don't like it.
It actually doesn't hurt the knee too much. It's that lower back where it'll put the pain in. And the refs, if you watch them, they watch it really close, and it's pretty funny. It's not funny when you're resting and watch
yeah.
it, but that's a St. Cloud deal. I mean, St. Cloud uses that move up and down the lineup, and if you don't know how to defend it against St. Cloud, you're going to probably get put on your back a lot, and you'll see, Zane Rutherford used it a lot from Penn State, and there's a few other D1 guys that are pretty good with it. And I mean, there's a lot of people that end up getting it called blown dead, potentially dangerous. Right. Because and if you do it right, it's you'll get it, right. and you won't get it blown dead. Okay. I think,
but if you're laying on your belly, you're subject to getting it put on you.
That's I guess what I would say is don't let it happen.
Oh,
but they I think it was I gotta believe it was probably Kerry Colott used it, and he said when he was taught it, they told him, if you go to the international level, you got to do it faster. They'll blow it dead every time.
Okay.
You got to get it and hit it fast, but they'll never let you use it at the international level
or the high school level.
I don't high school level either, but but in college it's a really fairly common move. So,
but I saw it used a couple times today that I'm going, oh man, that just has to hurt. I was feeling it because I've got one knee that isn't so good.
Yeah.
and
I don't think it's so much a knee issue as long as it comes the right direction, Okay. But in most of the time, I do see it blown dead quite a bit.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Most refs are looking for it pretty close. I'm not sure that Justin was, but most refs are looking at it pretty close.
I was impressed with Shoddy from Minot. Can't even think of his last name. I just remember his first name was Shoddy, and he almost looks like he is. He's got dark color. Almost looks Iranian. I can't even think of his last name.
Yeah, he's like a 80 or 97.
No, he's smaller than that.
Oh no, Mitwadi. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah,
Shoddy Mitwadi.
Must be 49 pounder.
Yep. Yeah, I was impressed. He got down to Steidler 9-1.
Oh yeah,
and came back and won 13-11 or 14-11, but just kept coming. And he shot big things. Steidler, not like he died out, but he just couldn't penetrate on him like he did early in the match. Okay. All of a sudden, when Shoddy got in on him, he would keep driving and finish doubles, and that was one of those matches that I loved. That and the Bays match today were phenomenal. Bays just kept coming and lost it earlier in the season to him pretty handily, and Bays came to wrestle today. So on the Mary duel, those are the two matches I was most impressed with.
Yep,
definitely in that duel.
So that was about all I would say. Moorhead State went to. They went to Augustana. No, Augustana. No, Augsburg. I'm losing my mind. Augsburg. They went to Minneapolis, wrestled Augsburg in a duel. Had a couple nice wins in the duel. They did lose the duel, but they had a couple 65-pounder that beat a pretty good kid there. I think they maybe won 2 matches. I think it was 36-6 or something like that. But
right.
So I think they would be close to winding it down. I think they got a duel with Minot next week, which is a makeup duel.
Wednesday or Thursday?
I believe that's Wednesday.
Okay, because what's interesting on the schedule that I saw on the Mary board, it said that their duel was Thursday, but yet I thought it was Wednesday. I heard
Mary's is Thursday.
Mary's is Thursday, but
I think Minot Moorhead State is, or MSUM is.
That is Wednesday night.
Is Wednesday. Okay. Yep. Mary and Northern definitely wrestle on Thursday, so I will not be at the state tournament on Thursday. I will be
You'll
be
in Aberdeen.
in Aberdeen in the evening anyway. So, but I'll be at this tournament on Friday, Saturday. So,
Okay.
um,
Awesome.
other good matches. Probably the biggest match of the weekend was Penn State, Ohio State wrestled at 141 pounds. Number 1, number 2 there. Nick Lee from Penn State versus Luke Pletcher from Ohio State, both undefeated going into the weekend, and Pletcher got the first takedown, looked pretty good, and then Mark Tollefson didn't mean to give you the angry face. But then Nick Lee came back and did. He's a beast. He looked really good, and he's another one that'll get that bent leg Turk and hurt people and put them to their back. But he ended up winning the match, maybe 7-2 or something.
Right. It was a 20-16 duel. I didn't get to watch the whole thing yet. I've got it DVR'd.
Yeah.
And it's kind of my next thing to do tonight as I wind down from my 7-hour wrestling day today.
Right.
So you can break a couple to me. I might take the headphones off so I don't.
Oh yeah, if you haven't seen that match, I should stop then.
No, you can go because I'll probably I'm tired. I'll probably fall asleep.
Well, don't miss. No, yeah, don't miss.
What match would you think that I shouldn't miss?
Well, you don't want to miss 41. That's the
one match.
Yeah, that's if you were going to watch one match, that's the one. You could go. 65 was good. 74 was short. But fun if you're a Penn State or a Mark Hall fan. 184 was a really good match that's Aaron Brooks looks good. 197 Colin Moore looked really, really good. He's just rolling.
Yeah.
Actually another one a guy shouldn't miss is heavyweight. Gas Tank Gary from Ohio State just continues to impress me. I don't know.
Well, he's a guy I thought early in the year, subject to get placing. Now I think he'll place.
Yeah, he could. Yeah, he could. It'll be very interesting. So Gary Traub is a guy that the first half of the year he was a backup. Their starter ended up with an injury. And they stepped him in, and he's been wrestling. And, I mean, he was working a part-time job, 18, 20 hours a week, plus wrestling and going to school and not on a scholarship. And at the semester break, they said, hey, we'd rather you didn't work that extra job. And they gave him a scholarship. And so it's kind of a neat story.
It's a good story.
Yeah, fun stuff. So NDSU had a big weekend. They beat Stanford on Saturday. And then beat Air Force today, senior day today. They had a couple losses in the Stanford match that were in highly ranked type matches. Let's see, who was that? I know Socorro won. They lost. No, Fogarty lost.
Okay,
that was a tough one. It was a good weekend team wise. Mets got a win. Frantic got a couple wins. Mets didn't wrestle today. Dan Stibberl stepped in as a senior. On senior day, he got the match. Kind of the big one, 174 pounds. Luke Weber keeps rolling after moving from 157 to 74. He's tough. And, I saw a picture of him today. I didn't watch that duel today, but I just saw a picture that they sent out on Twitter, and he looks huge. I just can't. He's really filling into that 74 weight class. So, I mean, he made 57 in the first week of January. So, that's good.
NDSU's not wrestling bad at all right now. I tell you what, as a team, they've had some great duels, and I'm impressed. They're doing fine.
Yep.
Definitely.
I did watch a part of. I was kind of going through brackets at the same time, and was watching the Oklahoma University duel. That was kind of exciting. I didn't watch every match yet, but there was a couple good matches there. 174 pounds was a really good match. That's John Smith's son, JoJo Smith, was wrestling there. He's kind of had been real limited in action this year, trying to get ramped up for the national tournament time and the region, the Big 12. So yeah, so there was a lot of good wrestling to watch again this weekend. I think the next 10 days will be heavily focused on high school, but these Division II guys will get this last couple duels out of the way, and then they'll be focused on their super regional on the 29th of February. Yep. In Region 5 is in Sioux Falls. So yeah, same time as the South Dakota State tournament. So that'll be a great time for everybody. Yep. Down in Aberdeen today, I just thought I'd mention they hosted a Midwest elementary duels at Northern State, so that was kind of nice. It had a whole bunch of youth kids come in and get a bunch of duels. I was going to look and see if I could tell how many actual teams and wrestlers they had, but I just never got around to it. But I saw some video from down there, and they had it set up nice. I'm just impressed with that facility and everything they've done there. So,
well, good deal. Well, again, guys, awesome again tonight. Just got to talk a lot of wrestling. Got a big week. Guess what? If you guys want to see anything special, just give me a quick email at the State Wrestling. You want to run me down. Even if you're an older coach or somebody catching these for the first time, I'll interview anybody. Say, hey, guess what? I'd like my story online. Yeah, I'll talk to anybody. Give them a chance if they want to get online, because I tell you what, wrestling needs to be out there. All can. I'll watch it. There's other people that will.
Absolutely.
Thanks again, everybody, for watching. Dakota Grappler Live. We'll keep doing it. You guys have a great night.
Hey, I want to mention one more thing. Yes. Northwood qualified their first wrestler for the state tournament, and I don't know how many years they've ever. So that was good to see. So cheer for your Northwood Thunder at the
Is that what it is? The Thunder? Northwood Thunder.
I think that's what it was. Yep. So, all right. Awesome. Thanks.
You bet.
Have a great day.
Great.